Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
YouTube friends and family. We're your dynamic duo. I'm Quentin Avery,
And I'm Dr.
and
Burks.
we're back together again for another message, another topic. Same topic, like Dr. Burke says, same soup.
Just reheated.
All right, so this is tithing part two, and we're very, very excited to bring you tithing part two. Excuse me, close this door. We're very excited to bring you tithing part two because we had a lot of requests on part two.
Yes, we did.
All right, so part two, here it is. Um, I'm going to start off with Leviticus 27:30 through 34. Do you mind?
Before we start
Okay.
off with Leviticus 27, we ended up with
Yeah.
Galatians 3:13 concerning Malachi 3:7 concerning the ordinance or the law of tithing, knowing that tithing is a law to the Levitical priesthood and the children of Israel. So we ended up according to the law um, of tithing and curse what occurs. And then Galatians 3:13 said that Jesus came to redeem us from the curse of the law. Now we want to continue in Deuteronomy 14 chapter, starting at verse 22.
You want me to go to Deuteronomy?
Go to Deuteronomy, the 14th chapter, and verse 22.
Okay, Deuteronomy 14 and 22 says, 14 and 22.
Uh-huh.
Be sure to set aside a tenth of all that your field produce each year. Eat the tithe of your grain, new wine, and olive oil, and the firstborn of your herds and flocks in the presence of the Lord your God at the place he will choose as a dwelling for his name, so that you may learn to revere the Lord your God always. But if this place is too distant, and you have been blessed by the Lord your God and cannot carry your tithes,
Uh-huh.
because the place where the Lord will choose to put his name is so far away,
Uh-huh.
then exchange your tithe for silver, or take the silver with you and go to a place the Lord your God will choose.
Uh-huh.
Use the silver to buy whatever you like: cattle, sheep, wine, or other fermented drink, or anything you wish.
Mm-hmm.
Then you and your household shall eat there in the presence of the Lord your God and rejoice.
Uh-huh.
And do not neglect the Levites living in your towns, for they have no allotment or inheritance in their land. Of their own. So the Levites living in your towns, for they have no allotment or inheritance of their own.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going.
Keep going.
At the end of every 3 years,
At the end of every 3 years.
bring all the tithes of that year's produce and store in your towns,
Mm-hmm.
so that the Levites who have no allotment or inheritance of their own, and the foreigners, the fatherless, and the widows who live in your towns may come and eat and be satisfied, and so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands.
Bam. So Deuteronomy 14
14.
and 22 says, wherever I place my name, go there. And if the journey is too far, it can exchange your tithing for money and strong, for wine and strong drinks, whatever your soul desire, you can take the money that you got from selling the tithing that the children of Israel had to pay their tithes. They can exchange the tithe for money and
For silver.
And buying the money in your hand, and you can buy wine,
Cattle, sheep,
wine, and strong drinks. They don't tell you that.
or anything you wish.
So we always say tithing was never money. Who changed it to money? Man. So my advice to anyone is read Deuteronomy, the 14th chapter, starting at the 22nd verse on down. What you think of that, son?
I think it's good information that people need to know.
Right.
But I would like to know, it mentions the Levites in here. Do we have any history on why the Levites were supposed to receive the tithes and why they had no allotment or no inheritance of their own?
Yes, that's a good question. And I think everybody should know that question.
And also it addresses the fatherless and the widow so that they may eat and be satisfied. So
the fatherless
less
and the widows.
Right. So
and the poor.
I don't see that, but I'm pretty sure it includes them too.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
But that's every 3 years.
So that they may eat and be satisfied.
So they should be eating satisfied.
Right.
Okay. They have programs for widows, orphans, and poor people today. Okay. But if you go to Numbers, the 18th chapter of Numbers, it'll tell you, if you start at the first verse of Numbers 18, it'll tell you what's going on with the Levitical priesthood and why they receive the tithes. And from 18 from 1 to about 10, and then drop down from 18:21 to the end.
18. You want me to start at verse?
Start at 18:1.
Okay. The Lord said to Aaron, "You, your sons and families are to bear the responsibilities for offenses connected with the sanctuary. And you and your sons alone are to bear the responsibility for offenses connected with the priesthood. Bring your fellow Levites from your ancestral tribe to join you and to assist you when you and your sons minister before the tent of the covenant law. They are to be responsible.
Covenant law. It says covenant law. A covenant is an agreement
between two people or between God and a group of people.
Right. Continue.
Okay, they are to be responsible to you and are to perform all the duties of the tent, but they must not go near the furnishing of the sanctuary of the altar, otherwise both they and you will die.
Okay.
Can we go back to Numbers 3 and read the law?
Go back to Numbers 18 and 3. Verse 3.
18 verse 3?
What did you say, 18 what?
No, I said can we go back to chapter 3 and read the law?
Chapter 3 of?
Leviticus.
We'll go to chapter 3 of Leviticus, okay.
No, not Leviticus. Chapter 3 of Numbers.
Chapter 3 of Numbers?
Yeah, chapter 3 of Numbers.
Okay, go chapter 3 of Numbers.
Okay, so chapter 3 of Numbers says, this is the account of the family of Aaron and Moses at the time of the Lord spoke to Moses at Mount Sinai. The names of the sons of Aaron are Nahab, were Nahab the firstborn to Abihu, Eleazar, and Adamizar. Okay, Ichamar. They were the names of Aaron's sons, the anointed priests, who were ordained to serve as priests. Nahab and Abihu, however, died before the Lord when they made an offering with unauthorized fire before him in the desert of Sinai. They had no sons, so Eleazar and Ithamar served as priests during the lifetime of their father Aaron. The Lord said to Moses, "Bring the tribe of Levi and present them to Aaron the priest to assist him. They are to perform the duties for him and for the whole community at the tent of meeting by doing the work of the tabernacle. They are to take care of all of the furnishing of the tent of meeting, fulfilling the obligation of the Israelites by doing the work of the tabernacle. Give the Levites to Aaron and to his sons, and they are the Israelites who are to be given wholly to him. Appoint Aaron and his sons to serve as priests. Anyone else who approaches the sanctuary is to be put to death." Okay.
Now go back to Numbers 18 and look at verse 20 on down.
Numbers 18:20 on down? Numbers 18:20 on down. All right. "And the Lord said to Aaron, you will have no inheritance."
None. No inheritance.
"In the land. Nor will you have any share among them. I am your share and your inheritance among the Israelites. I give to the Levites all the tithes in Israel. And as their inheritance in return for the work they do while serving at the tent of meetings. From now on, the Israelites must not go near the tent of meetings, or they will bear the consequences of their sin and will die. It is the Levites who are to do all the work of the tent of meetings and bear the responsibility for the offenses they commit against it, and its lasting orders for generations to come. They will have no inheritance among the Israelites. Instead, I will give the Levites as their inheritance the tithes that the Israelites present as an offering to the Lord. That is why I said concerning them, they will have no inheritance among the Israelites." Okay, so the Levites' job was to take down the tabernacle and to reassemble it wherever the presence of the Lord will go.
Correct.
So they had a job to do, and because they didn't work out in the fields, sowing seeds and reaping the harvest and mating different cattle and things like that. So they didn't have an inheritance or property or anything. So the Israelites had to bring them a tithe.
Had to bring them a tithe so they can eat and so they can present the different offerings, burnt sacrifice, sin offerings, and so on and so forth. You remember when Jesus healed people? After he healed them, he said, "Go." The law of Moses said that you had to go and present yourself to the priest, so the priest can pronounce you either clean or unclean.
Correct.
Now, do you know when a person dies, whether they die on the street or whether they die in your home or whether they die in your backyard, the police can come and investigate the scene. Do you know they can't do nothing to that body until the coroner comes and pronounce you dead?
Yeah, they gotta wait.
That's the law.
Yeah.
I just can't say, "Hey, that person dead. Get them out of my yard. Get them out of my house. Get them out of my room. Get them out of here because I can't take it."
Yeah.
No, you can't remove that body until the coroner pronounce you dead. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, that's the law. The coroner have to pronounce you dead. You could be laying there for 8, 10, or 9 hours. But if the coroner comes in the morning, that body gonna lay there until the coroner get there.
Okay. All right. I found one more on tithing.
Okay.
Leviticus 27:30.
Leviticus 27:30.
"A tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord.
Holy.
Whoever would redeem any of their tithe must add a fifth of the value to it. Every tithe of the herd and flock, every 10th animal that passes under the shepherd's rod will be holy to the Lord. No one may pick out the good from the bad or make any substitution. If anyone does make a substitution, both the animal and the substitute become holy and cannot be redeemed. Oh, excuse me. Is that holy or unholy? Oh, okay. Both the animal and the substitute become holy and cannot be redeemed. Okay.
Cannot be redeemed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do we have from these different scriptures that we read? We got the one thing we know that in Numbers that Moses was asked to or commanded to count all of the tribes, and they added to over 600,000, but the ancestral tribe of the Levites was not counted.
Right.
So the Lord said that the Levites are mine,
mm-hmm.
and were separated from the rest of the tribe of Israel.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That is like in Romans, the 12th chapter, verse 1, where Paul said, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercy of God. Now we're under a new covenant.
Okay.
That you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So we're not under a law, a carnal law.
Let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
So the tithe was for the Levitical priesthood.
Yes, sir.
The Levites, who were responsible for taking down the tabernacle and reassembling the tabernacle, they had some work to do.
Correct.
And they didn't have an allotment or an inheritance.
Right.
So the way that God instituted it was they would get paid from the rest of the Israelites by bringing a tenth of what came from the field.
Correct.
Okay. But today,
what
assembly are we taking down and breaking down and putting back together, and what are we offering as a sacrifice? And it's more rhetorical, but what I'm saying is that we don't have to offer sacrifices anymore.
We have to offer sacrifice today, but now it's a spiritual sacrifice. It's not a physical or a carnal sacrifice, meaning animals. Now go to Hebrews, the 7th chapter of Hebrews. Mm-hmm. Go to Hebrews, the 7th chapter, and start at the 1st verse. See? Now Jesus as a high priest. Mm-hmm. Now it's spiritual. We go from physical to spiritual.
Yeah, but
first natural, then spiritual.
Yeah, but so is it spiritual money?
No, it's not spiritual. It's not physical money.
Right. So what are we bringing to the storehouse to take care of the fatherless and the widows and the Levitical priesthood?
The spiritual is first natural and then spiritual. The natural points to the spiritual.
So in other words, we don't have Levitical priesthood.
We don't have no Levitical priesthood, but we still have a priesthood which is spiritual. What did Peter say about royal priesthood? A holy nation. You know what that's found at?
1st or 2nd Peter?
Huh?
1st or 2nd Peter?
2nd Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But read what you...
Where? 7 what? First?
Read the first verse.
This Melchizedek was king of Salem and priest of God Most High.
Uh-huh.
He met Abraham returning from the defeat of the kings and blessed him. And Abraham gave him a tenth of everything. First, the name Melchizedek means king of righteousness. Then, also, king of Salem means king of peace. Without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life, resembling the Son of God. He remains a priest forever. Just think about how great he was. Even the patriarch Abraham gave him a tenth of the plunder. Now the law requires the descendants of Levi who become priests to collect a tenth from the people. That is, from their fellow Israelites. Even though they also are descendants from Abraham, this man, however, did not trace his descent from Levi, yet he collected a tenth from Abraham and blessed him who had the promises. And without doubt, the lesser is blessed by the greater.
The lesser is blessed by the greatest.
Who's the lesser?
The lesser is Abraham.
And the greater is Melchizedek.
That's right.
So Abraham blessed Melchizedek?
Abraham blessed Melchizedek, and Melchizedek blessed Abraham.
Okay. In the one case, the tenth is collected by the people who die, but in the other case, by him who is declared to be living. One might even say that Levi, who collects the tenth, paid the tenth through Abraham, because when Melchizedek met Abraham, Levi was still in the body of his ancestors.
Levi. Correct. Okay.
Levi.
Okay. Continue.
Oh, if perfection could have been attained through the Levitical priesthood,
if perfection could have been
obtained
from
through the Levitical priesthood, and indeed the law given to the people established that priesthood, why was there still a need for another priest to come?
Another priesthood.
And one in the order of Melchizedek, not in the order of Aaron. For when the priesthood is changed, the law must be changed also.
When the priesthood is changed, there's a change to the priesthood.
He of whom these things are said belonged to a different tribe, and no one from the tribe has ever served at the altar. For it is clear that our Lord descended from Judah, and in regards to that tribe, Moses said nothing about priests. Okay.
Now, the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Levi is two different tribes. They are brothers according to Jacob. But one, he got the Levitical priesthood, and one got the tribe of Judah, which is a king priesthood. Melchizedek in the 7th chapter or the 14th chapter of Genesis, where Melchizedek was a key priest and a king, but there was no law in Abraham's time.
Okay.
But the priesthood had to be changed so Jesus he can become a priest and a king. He was a king, but he wasn't a priest until the Levitical priesthood. The priesthood of Aaron had to be changed to the kingship of Melchizedek.
Okay, well, understanding that, can you tell me how that affects the tithe?
That affects the tithe because there is no longer a physical tithing. There's no longer a physical law or a carnal law. The carnal law is for the carnal or the physical people of God. But a spiritual law is a spiritual law. You have a physical realm and you have a spiritual realm. See, if you go to Jeremiah 31:31, what does Jeremiah 31:31 says?
I want to go to Jeremiah 31, but before I go there, my question is that we don't have the Levites anymore. We don't have the assembly of the tabernacle being assembled and being disassembled. And the reason why they didn't have an allotment or an inheritance because that was their primary job.
Right.
Okay.
So when you go into, if you read, we just read Hebrews 7, but if you go in Hebrew 9, it would explain to me and you or the listening audience about the change of the priesthood in Hebrews, the 9th chapter.
But that was all physical. And the physical.
It's going to tell you in Hebrews 9 about the change of the physical to the spiritual.
Okay, we don't have time. We got to do part 3 for that. But you want me to go to Jeremiah, right?
Yeah, go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 31 to 35.
All right, Jeremiah 31 to 35.
Uh-huh.
The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the people of Israel and with the people of Judah. It will not be like the covenant I made with their ancestors when I took them by the hand and led them out of Egypt, because they broke my covenant. Though I was a husband to them, declares the Lord. This is the covenant I will make with the people of Israel. After that time, declares the Lord, I will put my law in their mind and write it on their heart. I will be their God, and they will be my people. No longer will they teach their neighbor and say to one another, know the Lord, because they will all know me, from the least of them to the greatest, declares the Lord. For I will forgive their wickedness and will remember their sins no more.
Okay, the new covenant, I will write them on their mind and their heart. Where was the old covenant written?
It was written on paper.
In a book of Moses, a law of Moses, and on on tablets of stone.
Okay.
The Ten Commandments were written on the stones.
Okay.
And the Ten Commandments, the moral laws, ceremonial laws, dietary laws were written in the book of Moses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, but he said in Jeremiah 31, I will write them on their minds and on their hearts. How do you write things on their mind and their hearts? Now, if you go to the hospital and you have something going on in your head, they're going to hook you up to a machine to find out what's going on in your head. If something wrong with your heart, they're going to hook it up EKG on your heart. And both readings will tell the doctor what's wrong, what's going on in your head. They're reading what's going on in your head, and the EKG on your heart, they're going to read what's going on in your heart. And they're going to say, you got a heart murmur, you got this, you got that. You need something going on with your valve or your blockage or whatever. And spiritually, the Creator going to write His laws on your mind and in your heart. How is He going to do that? We're going to read that in the next segment, part 3, how He going to do it.
Good. All right. We'll be right back with part 3 of Tithes. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm Quentin Avery.
And I'm Dr. Bird.
And we'll see you guys on the next video. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend.
Amen.